Welcome to the Tea with Tamara podcast. I'm Tamara Arnold, and it wasn't that long ago that I was a broke single mom drinking way too much, completely detached from everything. Now I've written multiple books, downloaded I Could Read Chakras, and I'm a channel for the universe. I'm a real person with real stories, and I can't wait to share them with you. So grab a warm bevy and let's have some enlightened conversation to live our best life. Happy Thursday, everybody. Today is an extra special day because I have with me one of my favorite people. I would hope that they're one of my favorite people because I did, in fact, marry this human. And I have my husband, Jeff Arnold, with me. I won't lie, he's a little nervous. This is his first time being, on a podcast, really.
Not really.
No?
Legit. Really the first time.
It's like legit.
Yeah.
However, you are one of the main factors of how Tea with Tamara actually goes up for everybody else to listen to in a beautiful way.
This is very true.
So what is
Not main factor, right? After you record it, it goes to me.
Right. So here's a little background on how this actually goes and how little I actually have to do with my own podcast, you guys, is I get to do the fun part. I just have to press record on a microphone setting on my computer, talk for, 13 minutes or the hour-long interviews that I do, and then I send the file off to my handsome husband here who does everything else except the show notes. I do write my own show notes as well.
Yes, that is true. I do all the audio cleanup. I wrote the music for your intro.
Talk louder, honey.
Talk louder.
Talk louder.
All right.
You are the audio guy. You should know that you need to talk a little louder.
True. Yeah.
So how long, just from the for those who may be listening who are like, I've thought about putting a podcast out and, I don't know how long it takes to do that stuff, like the actual audio and setting it up and getting it into the proper places. How long does that take you?
One of yours, on average, a couple hours. Depends. I usually try to listen through and clean up any, cars that drive by. If the dog is barking, I try to get rid of it. It's not an exact science, but, you try. And then there's some stuff that I do just randomly, not randomly, all the time. Try to level out the volume because you always talk louder than I do.
What? Really? I do have a booming, carrying voice and a laugh that people can actually hear from opposite rooms.
Your laugh is distinctive.
100%.
Yes, it's yours and yours alone.
We went, even when we were at Scotland, do you remember this? When we were in Scotland and we were sitting at the cafe in the, where the people got, the war was.
Yeah.
Where the TV show Outlander, the war zone, I can't remember what it was called.
I don't know.
Well, we were sitting in the cafe and somebody had walked into this big building and came over and was like, I knew exactly where you guys were because I could hear your laugh at the front door. And I was like, yeah, that's how I
don't even know
roll.
what we were laughing at. Just silly Scottish things that are different from us, probably.
Well, I truly believe, Jeff, that we're funny.
Sometimes. Not all the time. Yeah, we are. We try to laugh.
We try to laugh. I think that's one of the reasons we got together was sense of humor.
It is.
You're going to be a man of few words today?
I'm trying.
Are you that nervous?
Yes.
Isn't that fun, you guys? Jeff is super nervous because I asked him some tough questions before we actually jumped on today. So I would love to kind of give you guys an overview of what 2018 was like as a couple and as a business and as we grow, right? Because this is a marriage. It's not necessarily always sunshine, rainbows, and butterflies.
It's winter, so there's very few butterflies right now.
It's true. But it's definitely an ebbs and flows things. Because when Jeff and I, first got together, I can remember our third date.
It's because you don't remember the first date.
I don't remember the first date. I was highly intoxicated, which is part of the reason why I've stopped drinking. Because I spent, a good better part of my entire life, like 30 years.
Yeah.
Not 30, 20 years drinking.
Yeah. Did we even finish the podcast thing that we were talking about at the start?
No.
Oh,
we're just moving on.
Okay. Done.
Done. It takes me 2 hours to clean it up.
On average.
On average.
Yeah. Some are less, some are more. Depends.
See, I think he's distracting away from where we're going in this part of the conversation. Let's talk about the podcast. It's easier.
Hey, look, a butterfly.
I know. But when we actually got together, it was our third date, and I actually looked at you and said, I need to tell you something. Mental illness runs really strongly in my family. And so for some reason, I just knew I really liked Jeff, and I didn't want to continue dating him if, a few dates in, he realized that my life was chaos with my son who had mental illness. This was before Ethan's peak behavior, and left me, right? So I said, mental illness runs pretty strongly in my family. I need to tell you this because if it's too much for you, then we need to stop dating right now. And then you said...
But you're fine, right? This isn't you. This is your family. And I'm not dating them. I'm dating you.
Which was like the most romantic thing I'd ever heard in my life. And
in my defense, I didn't know how crazy things would get.
Well, in my defense, I didn't actually know how crazy things were going to get either.
Yeah.
Right? I knew things had been up and down, but it wasn't until we moved into this house and because with mental illness, change.
Yeah, that was a big change. Let's move in together. Let's move houses. It was a lot of change in 1
year.
Yeah.
And Ethan,
not even a year. Was it a year? Yeah, it was a year.
It was a year. It was 1 year. We woke up 1 year after meeting each other. So our first anniversary, we woke up in our new house together. So we had sold 2 houses, which is a really great way to, have your first year with somebody, because that's not stressful at all, trying to sell 2 houses.
Crazy stressful.
And
especially when mine wasn't selling.
And mine sold right away.
I know. But we almost had to move twice.
I know. We needed the money from your sale to help actually with the mortgage, because I'd only lived at my house for 3 years.
Yeah.
And so
I'd been in mine for 10, I think.
Right?
Yeah.
And so trying to get the dates so that they would align so that we could not move into some other house and then, or with your parents or somewhere, put our stuff in storage.
Or anything.
Right?
Yeah.
But it actually aligned.
Somehow it did.
And we got everything moved at the same time.
And we're still in that house.
We're still in that house. But when Ethan had been living in the semi, he was sneaking out. We didn't know. He had a lot more freedom. So when we moved into this house, which is a bungalow and creaky as all heck.
Yeah, it's an older house.
Right? He couldn't get away with the things that he was getting away with. And that's when the peak behavior started to happen.
Well, we pushed back too. We were
you have to talk
disciplined.
Louder.
I think I'm disciplining my voice fine. Oh my God. Blah, blah, blah.
I can hardly hear you. I know the microphone can hardly.
Well, that's the tricks of me cleaning up the podcast.
So when we moved in here, let's see, that was 2013.
What year is it now? 2019 now.
We met in 2012.
Then 2013 for sure.
We moved in 2013.
In August.
Yep. And so it was 2015. So things got really bad for a couple years. And it was in 2015 that's when we stopped talking to Ethan.
Yes.
Right, but it was we moved in.
That's also when we got married.
I know. 2013, we move in. 2014, we kick Ethan out, more or less. And then by 2000...
He had a choice.
He had a choice, but he chose not seeking help and coming home. And then, we tried for a year. And then in 2000... So it was boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
things were
there
really...
There was a lot of stuff.
There was a lot of stuff. And it was a lot on a new relationship, a new house. We did a lot of drinking together. That was our coping mechanism.
Yeah, we had to cope a lot.
We did have to cope a lot. And in 2015, we not only stopped talking to Ethan, but we got married.
Mm-hmm.
But it was also in 2015 that I went through my dark phase.
True.
So what was it like for you when I was curled up in the fetal position, barely functioning?
It's hard because you know something's wrong and you don't I don't know what to do to help, you know, other than drag you out to the bar. That seemed to help and cheer you up.
Yeah, because it numbed all the things, right?
So it's you start, you know, questioning yourself. Am I not enough for this? Am I, you know, not a good partner when you don't know what to do? And you just kind of keep trudging along and hope for the best. And I tried, you know, to be a good partner and help you along and try to make you smile and dance goofy dances in front of you. And
you still do that.
I know. It's kind of like, did it yesterday?
Yeah, I think it was yesterday. 2 days ago, yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
2 days ago. Yesterday we had a fight in the morning. So,
Yes, we did.
so it's not quite, which we'll get to.
Great!
But how long do you think I stayed in that sadness? Because Ethan and I broke up in July.
Yeah.
It was Canada Day weekend. We got home. And I know that it went dark for me.
Yeah. I don't even know. When did you sign up for the author incubator?
2017.
Oh, wow.
No, wait, 2016. At the end of 2016.
So it was that long from then, eh?
So it was like a year.
Wow.
It was a year from...
Because I felt that...
I think I was sad before. I was actually in my dark period before. So like after Ethan chose living on the streets. That's when I went dark.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I remember...
It wasn't a quick turnaround. It really wasn't. I don't think. It doesn't feel like it was a quick turnaround.
It was at least over a year.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because I remember the Mumford & Sons concert.
Do you?
Not really. But that was a bad day for me. Like, I like that... You're laughing. Well, he's laughing because when I left the park... these are terrible stories, by the way, and this is why I quit drinking in March of last year. Boom! I can say last year.
Yeah, it was last year.
When we left the park, I thought I knew I had to pee, and I went into what I thought was
a forest area.
And the cops were chasing me and saying, "Don't go in there," because I completely sunk into a bog or a marsh or something like that. It was bad news bears, but I can at least remember everything about that. Everything about that night I remember.
That's good.
It's one of those times. But getting back to, so when Ethan chose living on the streets till about, you know, it was probably about a year and a half.
Probably. It was a while.
It was a while that I was sad. And what's funny is that for anyone who is listening to me right now speak, majority of people didn't know.
We hid out pretty good unless we were out drinking. And then, you know, you kind of forget. It makes you forget everything that's wrong and everything that's right. And you're only focused on right now. And right now I'm having fun because everyone's laughing and, you know, the chicken wings are good. And
So, and I was a personal trainer at that time. So, you know, a personal trainer is a positive, happy person. And I'm just bringing this up because when we are sad or when we are low, it doesn't mean that we have like a beacon or a sign above our head that says, "Hey, I'm depressed," or "Hey, I'm suffering." It's often we try and, you know, showcase the opposing so that people don't know. During that time that I was in my low, I stopped caring about my physical appearance. I found showering to be challenging. I had a hard time putting my makeup on. I had a hard time putting a bra on, to be honest. I would just roll up, do what I needed to do to be at least functioning enough to actually serve my clients or to be a mom to, because Jeff and I had 3 other kids together, right? We each had 2 coming into a blended family. And so that was a really hard time for me. Right? But it wasn't until I stopped talking to Ethan completely that I started to shift out of my darkness.
Yeah.
And towards the light.
Yeah, you always talk about the cord cutting and that kind of that happened then, and I know you teach that.
I do teach that because it was a really pivotal thing, because I did that after Ethan and I had talked. There's somebody called Gifted Goddesses here in the Niagara region, and they're a free service. And this is a strange story because you just see...
Oh, I forgot about this.
Yeah, you see what you need when you need it. And it was on Facebook, and I clicked on the link to what this Gifted Goddess is. It says free healings. And I was like, I need a free healing. I'm having a really hard time. And then you set up a time. You start talking to these random women in Messenger, and then they're like, come to this address. And you're like, I'm not 100% sure this is like what happens, or if this, is, what if they're this, or they're murderers, or whatever. But I ended up going to this house, and I knew it was in a good part of town. And when I opened up the door, there was like 3 Dachshunds, and Jeff and I own Dachshunds. And I was like, this is clearly a good house with good people if they have Dachshunds. And I sat in a chair away from these 6 women, and they physically did a healing on me. And it took about 40 minutes. And one of the meditations that they did was the cord cutting. And it was so profound to release me from all of the stuff that wasn't a heart-to-heart connection with Ethan, that I left there a completely different person than what I had gone in doing. Mm-hmm. Right? But that in 2015 was like my awakening.
That's your first step kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When I was like out of the darkness, that's when I found myself towards the light.
Yes. I'm nodding my head, but no one can hear that.
No, they can't. So on a separate thing, right? When I started to go through my awakening,
right,
and randomly started meditating, and then being like, so I'm pretty sure that angels are talking to me in my meditation, and I'm pretty sure that, I'm getting talked to outside of meditation. What was that like for you? Because, that's not who I was when you married me at all.
No. It's a little concerning. You have the thoughts of, oh, shit. It's that third date warning. It's happening. It's happening. Uh-oh. What do I do?
She's losing it. She's losing it.
Yeah. There was some thoughts. It wasn't really a concern that, you weren't like going out and doing crazy shit. So I wasn't concerned for your safety or anyone else's safety or anything like that. But it was different because I'm not really the most spiritual person I have, at all. So it's kind of it was a little unnerving at first.
Is it still unnerving, Jeff?
I don't think so. It's different.
It's definitely not a confirmed yes or no there. I'm not sure if it's unnerving still.
It's different. I can't lie to you because hiding presents and things like that is different. But I'm not really like a bad person that I'm hiding things from you anyway. So.
It is strange that if I can touch a present, I know what it is.
Really?
Have you not ever seen me do that?
No.
Oh yeah, I can.
I'm never wrapping stuff early for you ever. Then
because if I physically touch it, I can read what it is.
Oh man.
I know. That's why my kids just give me my presents right away.
Oh, that makes so much sense. It's true. Your kids just they buy it and they don't even they just go, here, Mom.
But that's
this is your
really
Christmas present.
They just get excited. They're empaths like me, and they're like, I bought this thing and I want to feel you opening it right away.
Right.
So that brings us up to 2000 Well, it was 2000 and...
I don't know what year we're at now.
Well, 2015 is when Ethan and I stopped talking. My spiritual awakening started to happen up until December. And it was 2016 that I took 3 courses through that year. Right?
Yeah.
I did a business course and then the mastermind, the 3-month Awakening Hearts mastermind. And then I did Think and Grow, which you and Ethan, because by 2016, Ethan was an integral part of our lives again and was working quite a bit on bettering his life.
Yeah, I think the separation between you two helped him as well. there's really been any incidences since then. It's been pretty, that we know of anyway.
No, but it was...
It definitely turned him around, too.
It turned us both, because we broke up consistent pattern loop that we had been on, basically since he had been born, that ran through the exact same scenarios over and over. Like, everything would be good, and then something would happen, and it would trigger some behaviors, and then it would become really bad, and then, there would be the threat that we weren't going to talk, or that this would happen, and then nothing actually followed through, and then he would be good, and then, you know what I mean? Like, it was just consistent, and that was the first time I was like, no, this is officially happening. I'm going to be the strong one here. By this time, I'd been in therapy my whole life, right? Dealing with all the emotional baggage that happens as like, I'm not a good mom and I'm doing things wrong and all those side questions that happen when you have a child with mental illness. So I had been in therapy on and off for goodness, even the whole time. The whole time I've been a mom, not gonna lie, legitimately, since my early 20s with the same therapist.
Yes.
The whole time. So I want to bring it to 2017 when my business, that's when I signed up for the author incubator and I started to write my first book and everything started to happen business-wise, right?
Yeah, that's when you really kind of
took off.
Yeah.
And prior to this, though, as I was coming out of my dark period, what was happening to you?
I was going down like a flaming ship. Even though, how does the ship be on fire when it's in all that water? It's really weird. A flaming ship would just put itself out under the water. It's too bad it's not a submarine. It used to be a transformer.
This is, again, distraction, everybody. Distraction away from feelings, thoughts, and emotions.
Yeah.
Where in this story do you feel that, you started to feel the pressure and the heaviness and the overload and all of those things?
Probably, thinking back, probably right when we moved in here, when Ethan started being
naughty.
Yeah, we'll say that. And then I felt like it was up to me to hold us together and financially as well. And kind of just be the rock that everyone needed. And it took a lot. Not having ever done that kind of thing before.
Meaning not being around mental illness and...
Yeah, well, this is a whole new experience for me.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what would you say was your coping strategy or lack of coping strategy?
Well, I didn't have a coping strategy. At all.
So what happened?
Yeah, it just kept getting worse and worse. To the point where I was calling in sick when I wasn't sick, just because I couldn't do it. And then it was tough. Even days when I went to work and I didn't do anything because I couldn't.
And this was all happening, and I wasn't fully aware. I knew that something was wrong.
Yeah.
I knew it was affecting the inner workings of our house.
Yes. But again, I felt that I couldn't do anything else because financially that's where we were, and trying to pay this mortgage off to this house and eat and spend copious amounts on alcohol. And
sidebar is that I was always working you guys through this.
No, yeah, you were.
Like I was never without a job.
You weren't. Pardon me. You had really good months, and you had months that weren't so great. You were fluctuating. It was kind of like bonus money when you had a good month, and
because there were a few months that I made more than you.
Oh yeah, you had some. There were some crazy months,
right? But the feeling of responsibility.
Oh yeah, it's there.
That was there,
oh,
right?
Yeah.
And so in 2017, which is only last year, no, 2 years ago, haha, 2019 now. That's so funny. When my business...
The year's only a couple days in, so
I know!
We're okay to make mistakes.
It's true. And so in 2017, when my business started to take off, while I was writing my first book, and, you know, it was only March, so really there was no real big reason for, you know, there to be trust. We didn't have anything on paper that made the decision seem logical, but I knew how unhappy you were at work.
Yeah, I was, well, and I would go to work and you know, sort of work. And I'd come home and I'd spend 3 hours sitting on my laptop trying to make like games and things like that because I was a programmer.
So he's trying to make apps for the phone.
Yeah, phone apps and things like that to try to, you know, I hit the next Minecraft or whatever because it's just silliness and you make, you know, millions of dollars, which totally never happened. Yeah, my dollars per hour that I made is, I don't know, it's probably a penny an hour.
And so, like, you were consumed with trying to figure out a way to get out of work.
Yeah, I was. And
so,
you know, instead of, you know, doing the internal work, I'm trying to change external things again.
Woohoo!
I'm listening to you.
And so, in early 2017, in March, you know, I offered the proposition, hey, Jeff, why don't you quit your job and help with the kids in the house so that I can really focus on the business because, you know, this was the area or the way in which I could see our life shifting and changing because it was like momentum had hit and I was just riding the momentum train and, you know, I was able to bring in significant amounts of money working with incredible clients and creating profound programs through this. When I downloaded I Could Read Chakras in February of 2017, right? So that's a whole other podcast, but we won't talk about that today.
Yeah, it's in episode 1, 2, or 3, maybe 4.
Yeah.
Those first few, it's in there.
Yeah. Right? And so you made the decision to leave work in April of 2017.
Right.
And what was the plan then?
I don't know if there was a plan. Was there a plan?
I'm giving him the eyes.
Yeah, she's totally giving me the eyes.
Yeah, there was a plan. The plan was that you could take a few months to figure yourself out.
Yeah. Those months have now been extended. Still haven't done it.
So we're coming up for 2 years.
I got a few more months till it's 2 years.
Right? But like the idea that was in the head was that, because I know when you go from having a professional job or a corporate job and your entire, not your worth, but your persona is dedicated to, well, I am this job or I am this thing, that when you step out, or as I call it now as I'm writing this book, the blind leap, you know, stepping into the unknown, that there's a moment or there's a time where you've got to figure out who you are and what it is that you want to do, right? Because we don't know who we are when we've been following society's plan for us.
Yeah.
We're completely detached from our internal being.
Yeah, you're almost on autopilot.
Exactly.
Not almost. You are on autopilot most days.
So the plan was that, you know, I knew there would be about 3 months of discomfort as you know what I mean, tried to figure out what it was that you loved or you wanted to do again, and then potentially action taking into this new revised Jeff, living his life to the fullest, expanding into whatever it is that you discovered. That didn't happen.
No. Not really. Not at all.
So I want to come back. I want to go full circle into 2018 because I think that 2018 could be considered my personal best year, but your personal worst year.
I don't know. Is it my personal worst year?
Outside of the breakup with your ex?
That was a couple of bad months, and then it was...
That was... Okay, so this could be...
I don't know if that was traumatic or not, because I wouldn't have met you, so, you know.
Aww. Those are the reasons why I married him, people. But in terms of like when you look back into 2018, what do you think?
The first thought that was in my head was, I've wasted some time.
What does that mean?
I had time to do so much more, but didn't.
And this is the hard part, right? Because if I were to say, what would something more have looked like? You don't have the answer to that.
No, I don't.
Or what does something more mean? You don't have the answer to that.
No.
Right? In reflection, it feels like a blink of an eye.
Yeah, it does. We did a lot of trips, but lots of work trips for you as your hot chauffeur.
By the way, if you were to be sitting across from my husband right now, he keeps curling into a bigger and bigger ball, you guys, because we actually haven't even had these conversations as a couple. We're actually doing this on the podcast.
Yeah.
Which is a strange new experience for both of us to be like...
Yes, but it's forcing me to talk, so I probably would have run away by now.
Closed down, shut down, not participating.
Hey, look, the dogs need to go outside, and then run away.
Right? But it's interesting that, because I want to bring this up because like it was 2017 in April and now we're coming into 2019. So it's been almost 2 years that you have been in this void. We can call it a void.
That's a good description.
Right? Where you don't know who you are, what you want out of life, where you're going, what your future looks like, any of those things.
No.
And then, guys, just to give you an idea, that's one. And then I'm Captain Solution over here. I'm like, there's a problem, we can fix it. Like positivity, like go, go, go. Let's solve this. Let's make this better. Let's do a bunch of things. So for the first, probably for all of 2017, I was trying to champion you, right? Like I was like, one thing you should never do is try and coach your partner. But there was a line where it's like, I don't know how to be anything but a coach.
It's true. Even when you were just doing personal training, we couldn't really work out together because you were always like, do this. It felt like you had the whip out and just going, go, ba-da-da-da-da. But that's what it felt like. Yeah,
P.S. that is not what happened.
No, not at all.
When his form was not correct, I wanted to correct his form. But there's
a help. I know that there's a help there, but it's, I don't know, it's hard to listen. I'm not sure why.
It's a whole other podcast, too.
Yeah, apparently.
Right? But in terms of our marriage in 2018, it's been a struggle.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we've been going through trying to find the balance in our marriage of, because it's like, and there may be listeners who are going through this, because like Jeff and I are not in any way, like we are working on this, and, marriage is important to me and I love this man with every ounce of my being. And so creating a life together is the only solution for me.
Yeah.
Right? And so I had my dark period for 1.5 years, and now Jeff's in his dark period that's been almost 2 years, right? So like when you are in a marriage, you work towards supporting and helping each other when all of these things are happening. And so like I didn't want to just talk about Jeff's dark period without having a lead in that I also had one, right? Like this is like an experience. And we've only been together since 2012.
Yeah.
So, just over 6 years. So this is a lot of dark period for a short period of time.
We deserve some light period.
There was, our first year was so awesome. But we also drank a lot.
We were never home.
But I think that was a profound decision that we made, too. Because when I decided to quit drinking in March, because I knew that I wanted to really learn to feel my feelings and not have any fog or clouds so that my spiritual gift could be at the highest level it could be. And I didn't want to hide from life anymore. And you made the decision basically to do that with me.
Yes, because you were my drinking buddy as well. So it was what we did for fun.
And now our fun was gone.
Yeah. Remember when we looked up fun things to do sober and it was like clean your closet and...
But the funny thing is, like, I totally cleaned my closet the other day and found it so fun. And I was like, oh my God, I am now the list of sober things to do. And they, like, you know what I mean? Creating that space and having that like opening my closet and going like, ooh, look, my tank tops are in one place and my t-shirts are in another. And such joy. I was like, oh boy. Right? But I want to bring up, our disagreement, because I think it's a powerful thing. I'm not afraid to talk about my dark period, and there is something about expressing it and helping others through what you're going through, because Jeff's not out of his dark period yet.
Correct.
Correct. And so there are times where it does cause partial conflicts.
It was a disagreement, argument. I don't know. There wasn't any yelling or throwing plates or anything.
Well, we never have been that couple.
No.
Like, even when we're arguing or disagreeing, it's really lame, you guys. Like, it's emotional.
I don't like conflict. So I end up usually just shutting up.
Shutting down.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say shutting up. I would say shutting down.
Yeah.
Right? But I want to have these conversations because there's other couples who are going through this stuff. And I know that it will be something. And again, if we have random conversations together and share how we're growing and how we're shifting and how we're moving through these things, it really opens a door for others to be inspired or motivated or to know that they're not alone in things that they're going through, right? And so yesterday we had a disagreement because when you are low, and I can say that from the space of being low and, you know, having a family that suffers from mental illness, and my son suffered really, really, you know, largely, and he's doing extremely well, but there is a place in which blame, shame, guilt, and resentment, which are lower vibrational energies and emotions, when you're low, those emotions take over.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. There's so much of that for me right now. It's so hard most days where, well, yesterday started because I was cleaning the kitchen and, you know, picking recycling off the counter when we have buckets, and I was huffing and angry that I had to do it and like that.
and then
you know, it's
and then
there's other days where, you know, I'm doing stuff for you and I know that I need to take a break because I've been at it for a while and I can't even do something for me because I feel guilty because there's still other things that need to be done, like laundry and stuff, and then I end up doing nothing that I don't even know what to do. Like, I really do nothing.
Things are overwhelming.
Yeah, everything's overwhelming. I can't even see a first step, so, whoa, fuck.
Which is, again, I've been there. Somebody who's listening might be there. And it makes me emotional. I'm so grateful that you're sharing this for those who feel the same way, honey.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not an easy thing to feel. And, I mean, it does affect the relationships of those you love. It affects your relationships with family and friends, because over the last couple of years, what's happened?
With family and friends?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the last time I saw anybody.
But why?
Because I'm a hermit?
Because...
And I'm not in a good place. What am I going to do? What am I going to talk about?
Right? When you're
going like,
through...
I don't even know what to say anymore to anybody. I don't want to just unload because that's not fair.
Which is totally fair, by the way. It's really, really helpful to talk to somebody that you love in order to help get it out. But when you're there, it doesn't feel like it's the right thing to do.
No, not at all.
Right? And the longer that you stay in that space of retreating and pulling back and hiding and hermiting and all those kinds of things, guys, the harder it is to take the steps to shift that area of your life.
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw a question out to my husband that he doesn't know is happening right now.
Oh, curveball.
Curveball! Right? Because...
Except I don't really like baseball.
Well, no. First of all, what happened at the end of last year? Like, what was it? Because I reached a peak discomfort in our marriage where I actually said something to you, and it was a non-negotiable. I was like, you need to do this because I can't carry this anymore. And what was that?
Go to therapy?
Right.
Is that the answer you're looking for?
That's the answer, right? Now, because I had been in therapy my whole life.
Yep.
Now, you've only been for a couple months.
Has it even been a couple months?
I think so.
Probably. Yeah, we're getting close. If it's not, it's in there. It's in the ballpark.
And that's helping, is it not?
It is. It is. I go and I talk about, well, I went yesterday after our skirmish. So yesterday's session was mostly about that.
Which, as an empath, I knew not to ask him how yesterday's therapy session went at all. Like, I didn't even... Sometimes I'm like, how was it? Right? And happy when I could feel his energy being high. But yesterday when you came in, it was like, no.
It wasn't It wasn't no to you either. It was
I know.
just like everything that we talked about. I mean, that you said to me, it was all true. And it felt hard. It hurt. Like, to the point where I wanted to go downstairs and smash shit. But things that I love, I wanted to smash them. Just because I didn't have no
strategies.
There's nothing, I don't even know what to do. Like, how do I get rid of this?
This is really powerful, honey. Thank you.
I would have been really upset if I smashed the shit that I wanted to smash yesterday.
Yeah, I would have been upset with that too.
Yeah.
It would have been all bad. Right?
Yeah.
But in truth, right? Like, guys, this is the inside look at emotions that don't have a pathway to leave the body or have an understanding of how to clear or shift things or move things through.
Yeah, and the thing is, I've never had a strategy for this. So going to therapy has been, I'm going way back.
Yes, that's always the answer, is going way back.
Kind of been a problem for a while.
But it allows, right, going way back, you can see who you are today isn't because of anything that's happening in the present. It is a collection of thoughts, feelings, and emotions that really lie dormant until things trigger them in our present day.
Right.
And say, deal with me now.
Yeah.
Right? And so we had that was a conversation, guys. And I'm so blessed that you were open when I said, this is a non-negotiable. I can't carry this anymore. I can't be the one who tries to make this better. I need to pass this to somebody who is a professional who then will, take care of this so that we can work on us. And it's not your sadness or your emotional state that I feel like, as a coach,
you're
that
not
I can't.
responsible.
Yeah, I'm not responsible.
You can't
for
coach
that.
me in that way.
No, and I can't.
We've tried.
Well, it's because I don't know what else to do. I tried every avenue, guys. Like every way that I could come at it, I was trying. And so my question for you, the curveball, right? Because we went to that place of, you have been pulled away from everything and everyone in your life. So if I were to just randomly ask, what is one thing? Because this is my true belief that if we could get to that space of asking ourselves this question, it's what got me out of my depression. And so I'm going to ask you this question, and whatever the answer is, are you open to trying it today?
Have you asked the question yet?
No, but
Okay,
I'm getting the confirmation before I ask the question.
All right.
What is one thing that you can do today to feel better than you did yesterday?
The
first answer is the right answer.
Yeah, I know.
Is it have to do with me?
No, not at all.
Okay.
That would be fun too, though.
I know, okay.
Maybe later. I got a song in my head last night while we were sitting in bed, and I want to go take care of that
So
before I forget it.
So make music, make a song.
Make some noise.
So that is one thing you can do today to feel better
And
than
not
you did
feel
yesterday.
guilty about it, because that's a problem, and it's creativity stifling most days. Sorry, what? What's that?
I'm trying to tell you to get your palm of your hand.
I'm still pointed at the microphone.
It's muffly.
They can still hear me.
You've got because again, right? Like this is a really big for Jeff to be opening up like this, you guys. So like when you are opening up for the first time, like he keeps.
I'm hiding still.
Yeah, I know. He keeps putting his hand over his mouth and like curling up into a ball. And
well, my hips are uncomfortable because we're sitting on the floor.
I know, in my office, with a microphone between us. And so, guys, if you're feeling low, if you are feeling like things are a struggle and that you have, a hard time with the guilt, the shame, the blame, and the resentment, and you live in that lower emotional frequency, and you can't seem to see a different way or a different emotion or a different feeling, I highly recommend and suggest simple question is what can I do today to feel better than I did yesterday, as being the only thing that you ask yourself in a day. Don't put any additional pressure on yourself. Don't try and think about changing where you are. Like, it's impossible to go from that lower vibration to joy.
No, you can't. It's little baby steps.
Yeah, because that's like a giant, like you can't even see joy when you're down there.
Yeah, it's like feeling like completely buried, but someone takes like buried under sand, and someone takes like a scoop off the top of your head. You don't fucking feel it at all.
That's a great analogy, honey.
Thanks.
Right? And so truly and completely to keep taking one cup of sand off the top is asking that question and doing it.
And eventually
you start to see,
maybe you can breathe. You're not quite there, but
right? So I know this is a big podcast, and I'm so, again, grateful and honored. We were only going to do 30 minutes. It's been 47. I think we covered a lot more than we even thought or planned.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't know what the hell we were going to talk about.
Well, I think that it's important. This is an important conversation.
Yep.
And it makes me emotional, and I'm grateful that you shared it. And that it can help somebody. Yeah. Because I know what it feels like to be that low. I know what people I love, I get witnessed them feeling that low. And I know how hard or how honestly dark it can be and how little you can see the next step. Yeah. And so sharing this journey in our marriage and in our life and things like this, I'm hoping can help so many people. And so I will gladly let you guys know if Jeff made a song today.
Well, I'll start it anyway.
Start it. Because that is part of your joy, is music.
It is. Absolutely it is. Love it. It's the funnest thing that I do right now, for me.
And so it's separating that from guilt.
It is. And being brave enough to just throw it out into the world.
And not take it as a personal...
And that's hard too. It is. It really is.
But truly, and this is a side note, not taking it personally is because of where your emotional state is.
Yeah.
Right? When you start to remove more and more sand off the top.
Then you won't even, it's just a thing that happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Guys, please let us know if you found this podcast helpful in any way. You can tag me at Tamara Arnold, author, on social media, and Jeff is the
Jeff Arnold on Instagram, and then
the Jeff Arnold.
Yeah, the Jeff Arnold, or the Jeff Arnold, depending on
if you know someone or a marriage or someone who is having a struggle right now, feel free to share this episode. As a means to help anyone else who is going through a darker period or a harder time, and know that they are not alone, because that's often how you feel, is completely alone as well.
Yeah.
Right? And no one understands, and no one can possibly know what you're feeling.
Sometimes I think the dogs feel it.
Well, I'm going to actually have somebody on the podcast who's a dog intuitive, and she will say 100% that the dogs feel it.
Yeah, they do. They just pile on me when I'm having it. All yesterday.
Yeah.
Up in my face, sitting on my lap.
Yeah.
Like kicking books out of my hand.
Yeah. It's true, right? They are definitely connected to our energy. So thank you guys for listening. We will continue sharing the journey that is our marriage and this thing called life, and our emotional states and being with you to hopefully. And if you have questions, please feel like you can
we never
ask
really
us
got to
anything.
the podcast thing. So if you have questions, they can they can contact me.
But I think this was the message that needed to come out today.
Wasn't really about that at all. That was just your lead in.
Yeah, that was my make Jeff comfortable before we have a deeper conversation. Get him to start to talk, and then dive in, swoop in with the emotional stuff, because the emotional stuff is life. All right, guys, have a magical Thursday. This podcast goes out today at some point. I'm going to do the show notes right now, because we're not quite ahead of the game yet, Jeff and I, in terms of doing things. It's like more like on the fly. And if you have questions, comments, or want to tag us in this, please do so. We love you with our whole hearts, and talk soon.